What if your biggest enemy is the one who knows how to smile the warmest? Could someone in your life be quietly plotting against you while pretending to care? These 5 chilling signs reveal when kindness is actually a disguise for calculated harm. Who among us hasn't trusted the wrong person? You once thought they were your friend? They smiled with you, listened to you, and even stood by your side in moments that felt genuine. But then one offhand comment makes your heart sink. A look that's colder than usual. A vague sense that the moment you leave that room, the atmosphere will shift. At first you brush it off. You tell yourself you're being too sensitive. But over time, that feeling grows, and then you start to see it clearly. Just because someone smiles at you doesn't mean they wish you well. In fact, some smiles are masks hiding sharp intentions. Not everyone who compliments you wants you to thrive. The most dangerous person isn't the one who openly opposes you. It's the one who acts like your friend, who plays it polite, who always seems fine to your face. They'll bring you coffee in the morning and spread your story by the afternoon. Their goal isn't just passive dislike. They wish you would vanish, and they're willing to make it happen, silently and strategically. They don't show anger. They wear a mask with a charming smile, sweet words, and carefully measured looks. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." But calm doesn't come from naivety. It comes from understanding, and understanding sometimes costs you truths that are hard to swallow. Most people only realize this when it's too late, but not you. This video will show you 5 signs most people overlook that someone doesn't just dislike you, they may be quietly trying to bury you. Don't click away. And if you still believe in truth, hit subscribe. Because after today, you'll never look at kindness the same way again. Sign number 1. The silent observer. Real danger doesn't always come with a scream. Sometimes it arrives in silence. You don't hear footsteps, you don't see an angry face. No threats are spoken, but you feel it vague, uneasy, hard to name. In Stoic philosophy, what's most frightening isn't always on the surface. It's the quiet forces that erode your inner peace. And the silent observer is the clearest embodiment of that hidden threat. This person isn't loud. They don't do anything overt enough for you to call them out. But they're there tracking your habits from the time you leave the office to the coffee you order every morning. They show up when you're walking your dog, happen to be at the same diner you always go to. And when your eyes meet, they smile gently. Oh, what a coincidence, but you know better. Once is a chance. Twice might be fate. But 3, 4, 5 times. When every coincidence revolves around a single person, it's no longer random. It's calculated. The silent observer behaves like a modern-day spy. Not to flirt, not out of admiration, but to gather intel. They're not interested in friendship. They want to understand you well enough to control or dismantle you. What they do isn't any different from surveillance, tracking your routes, noting when you leave home, who you're with when you're alone. Sound extreme? Let me tell you Christine's story. Natalie, 34, did everything she could to escape her past. She changed her phone number, locked down her social media, moved to a different district, and even started a new job just to rebuild after a haunting relationship. But just weeks after joining a new gym, she saw him, her ex, standing outside, smiling like it was pure coincidence. A month later, there he was again. That familiar gaze at a cafe near her new office. The third time, Natalie was waiting for the bus after work when he appeared again, coffee in hand, greeting her like an old friend unexpectedly reunited. At first she brushed it off, thinking she was being paranoid. But the coincidences became too precise. The locations were too specific, the timing too perfect. And the scariest part, he wasn't doing anything wrong. No insults, no threats. Just a smile and his presence. But that presence, silent and intentional, made Natalie feel unsafe in a life she'd worked so hard to reclaim. In Stoicism, we learn to face the world with reason. But reason doesn't mean ignoring intuition. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This isn't just wise advice. It perfectly mirrors the nature of the silent observer. They don't threaten you with words. They threaten you by showing up at the right time in the right place in just the right way to make you feel exposed. It's not the polite smile or the casual funny seeing you here that defines them. It's their behavior, repeated and deliberate, that reveals who they really are. The real danger here isn't just observation, it's subtlety. This kind of stalker often makes their victim doubt their own feelings. They exploit your kindness, your hesitation, and your desire to avoid conflict. And if you're not fully aware, you'll keep shrugging it off, telling yourself, maybe I'm just overthinking. But that's exactly what they want, for you to let your guard down so they can keep planning while you remain unaware. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." In this context, to live rightly isn't just to live kindly. It's to live with awareness. We can't control others, but we can and should control our attention. Recognizing unusual behavior isn't paranoia, it's wisdom. And that wisdom is the shield that protects our inner peace, the highest value to a Stoic. In the age of social media, a silent observer doesn't need to be physically present. They can track you through every story, every status update, every mutual friend you forgot to filter. They know where you go, what you eat, who you're dating, not through magic, but because you've unknowingly handed them all the information, and then they keep coincidentally showing up with a smile at just the right time, a caring question in just the right place, and a look that sends chills down your spine, even though you can't explain why. At that moment, your job isn't to panic, it's to act decisively. Don't dismiss the coincidences. Don't stay silent when something feels off. Observe the patterns. Set boundaries. Ask yourself, why is this person always around me? Why do I feel uneasy every time we meet, even if they've done nothing wrong? Listening to your intuition isn't superstition. It's your brain's way of warning you when logic hasn't caught up. And in many cases, intuition is the only thing that stands between you and a bad situation. So if you notice someone accidentally appearing too often, if you feel like you're being watched but can't prove it, don't ignore it. Start by speaking up. Write down every suspicious encounter. Share it with someone you trust. Because the most dangerous person isn't the one who yells in your face. It's the one who smiles quietly, stays silent, and always shows up when you least expect them. Sign number 2. The sabotage strategy. Not every enemy chooses rage as their weapon. Some choose subtlety, quiet, persistence, and insidiousness. These are the ones who understand that a cut to the heart doesn't need to be deep. It just needs to be precise. And the sabotage strategy is the art of this kind of damage. When someone truly wants you to disappear, they won't shout it across a meeting room. They'll whisper it to the people behind you, beside you, and above you. They're not after a knockout blow. They're after a slow unraveling. This is where the power of suggestion becomes most effective. A lie can be disproven, but a toxic hint, a deliberate glance, a casual "Have you noticed she's been different lately?" These are droplets potent enough to cloud a glass of clear water. And no matter how many times you try to filter it, the doubt that seeped in is hard to wash out. Unlike simple retaliation, this kind of sabotage doesn't go for your emotions. It targets your ecosystem, your reputation, the relationships that sustain you. The mastermind knows that if they can get others to lose faith in you, you'll collapse, on your own. You'll go on the defensive, grow anxious, and gradually retreat into the corner they've quietly chosen for you. A takedown campaign doesn't have to be obvious. It's a silent campaign. A throwaway line in front of your boss, a whisper between coworkers, a seemingly harmless message sent to your closest friends. None of them realizes they're part of an attack, but you, the one being quietly pushed out of the trust circle, will feel it unmistakably. Kevin used to be the funny, easygoing guy that everyone in the group trusted until he started dating Mia, a girl who made a few people in the group feel off. Things began to shift without a clear reason. His close friends started making plans without inviting him. One of his best friends half joked, "Kevin seems like he's trying to control Mia these days." No one said anything more, but the exchanged glances said enough. What Kevin didn't know was that another friend, Jake, had quietly been feeling jealous of his newfound happiness. Jake began planting subtle suggestions. "I'm not saying Kevin's got issues, but Mia's been looking kind of scared around him lately." Small, soft comments spread out over weeks. No one confronted Kevin directly, but little by little, the warmth around him faded. He didn't understand why, but Jake did. And that's when the sabotage worked. When the victim doesn't realize they're being cut off from the very network that once held them. The scary part is each rumor seems unrelated, like scattered pieces of a puzzle. Only the player can see in full. Outsiders won't notice any clear intent. But you caught in the center of the spiral start to feel isolated, questioned, and cold-shouldered. This isn't impulsive, this is calculated. A plan broken down into fragments of doubt. Just enough to make you a problem in the eyes of others. And that leaves you with no one to lean on. No allies. No trust. The goal isn't to hurt you. The goal is to erase you from the picture. From a Stoic philosophical perspective, this kind of cruelty isn't just a moral test. It's a toxic fog that can cloud your judgment and make you lose yourself. But it's also exactly when you need the power of reason that Stoicism champions. If someone succeeds in provoking you, Epictetus said, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. If someone causes you to lose your temper, recognize that it was your own mind that allowed it to happen. This quote from Epictetus isn't about blaming the victim. It's a reminder that your inner strength is always a weapon within your control. Even when everything around you is being manipulated. When you're dealing with a saboteur, Your first move isn't to react, it's to observe with clear, rational thinking. Emotional reactions only make you easier to trap. If you get angry, they'll say you're unstable. If you try too hard to explain yourself, they'll say you're guilty of something. Let them play their game, but you must play yours differently. You don't need to chase every rumor. Stay calm but not passive. True defense doesn't come from shouting, "I'm innocent." It comes from being prepared, keeping records, saving emails, texts, and calendars. You don't live to prove yourself to them. You live to uphold your own values and integrity. In Stoic philosophy, dignity is something no one can take from you, unless you give it away. Your reputation can be tarnished, but your character can't, and time will prove that if you remain steady and alert, eventually when you realize someone is quietly distorting your image to the world, don't keep giving them the courtesy of your silence. Don't convince yourself that everything will work out. No, things only work out when you actively protect yourself with calm, clarity, and wisdom. Reputation sabotage is a form of psychological warfare. But Stoicism doesn't teach you to be a warrior in armor. It teaches you to be a mountain. Things can crash against you, but you do not move. You don't need to win their war. You just need not to lose yourself. And if you think sabotage is the worst they can do, you should brace yourself for what's next. Because one of the most dangerous forms of attack often comes from those who seem the kindest. Don't miss what's coming next. When your enemy puts on a friendly face, shakes your hand, smiles at you, listens closely, not out of care, but to gather ammunition for a future ambush. Do you really know who's standing next to you? We'll talk about that in the next part. Sign number 3, the false friend facade. One of the most dangerous masks in the world isn't the face of a demon. It's the face that looks like a friend. A friendly handshake, a quiet smile, a gaze that seems like they truly care. In today's world, where human relationships grow more tangled by the day, the enemy disguised as a friend isn't just a detective novel cliché. They exist in real life, often closer than you think. And the warning signs aren't in a rough exterior, but in sudden closeness, without any warning. You meet them somewhere at work, in class, or through a mutual acquaintance. At first, they're just another casual social contact, but before long they show a special interest in you. They ask personal questions and they dig deep. What's your daily routine like? Are you seeing someone? Are you still upset about the thing with your mom? What are you most afraid of? The questions seem harmless, but they come up again and again, always at the moments when you're emotionally low or in need of someone to talk to. They're not there to build a friendship. They're there to observe, to collect, and to prepare for something that won't be good. This is the false friend facade, the sophisticated mask of a fake friend. It's not just pretending to be nice. It's a strategy, a deliberate approach, and sometimes it's part of a plan to hurt, undermine, or manipulate you later. They don't come to build a bridge. They come to scout the path. The enemy in the mask of a good friend often uses your own openness as a weapon. They'll help with small things, give you a ride home, carry your stuff, and remind you of deadlines as if they genuinely want to see you thrive. But it's all a test. They want to see how you react. Are you easy to trust? Do you talk about your family? Do you accidentally reveal something even you didn't notice? They're not just doing this instinctively. They're doing it with precision like a trained agent. They might even mimic the way you speak, mirror your emotions just to make you feel understood. That's the kind of fake safety that lowers your guard, and that's the moment when you're at your weakest. This isn't just a hunch, it's psychology, and it comes with a serious warning from the Stoics. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. This quote isn't just about friendship, it's a powerful reminder about the value of trust. In an age where kindness can be worn like a glove to hide a killer's hand, sharing your fears, memories, or dreams is not something you should rush into. Seneca never told you to shut down. He told you to stay awake. The Stoics taught that moderation is the backbone of strength. You can offer kindness but never sell your trust cheap. A person truly worth trusting won't rush to become your best friend in a week. They'll respect your space, they'll step back when you need silence. The disguised enemy will do the opposite. The closer they get, the more urgent they become, the more they try to touch your private world, the more likely it is that they're laying down a trap. The most dangerous thing is when you don't want to believe you're being manipulated. You think, no, that person's good, they help me, they listen. But what you don't notice is this. Most of what you confide in them eventually comes back to hurt you through twisted words, through the strange way others start to look at you, and you don't even know why. The truth is, you handed over the key to your inner world to someone who was already standing at the edge waiting for a chance to break in. Stoics never said you should fear everyone, but they always emphasized this. Listen to your gut, observe behavior, and act with boundaries. When someone suddenly gets too close, too fast, slow down. When they keep pressing for your past, your ex-relationships, your personal routines, ask yourself why. When you feel like you owe them personal information just because they were kind, draw a line. A true friend will never need you to explain why you need space. But someone playing the role of a good friend will try to pull down your guard as soon as possible, and later use your vulnerability as a weapon to break you. So make it a habit to observe people over time, not based on a few kind gestures in the beginning. Don't mistake temporary friendliness for genuine kindness. And never ignore that subtle feeling in your gut, the one that whispers, something's off, even when everything looks perfect on the surface. That's not paranoia. That's survival instinct. In a world where masks are expertly crafted, awareness is your last line of armor. Be selective with who you let into your mind. The same way a soldier chooses comrades on the battlefield. One wrong decision sometimes can't be undone. Have you ever met someone like that? Someone who came into your life too quickly, cared too deeply, and then vanished, leaving only wounds and doubt. Share your story in the comments. It's not just a way to release what you've been holding in. It may help someone else spot the mask they haven't seen yet. Say something, you never know who might need it. Sign number 4. Escalating aggression. Not everyone reveals their true nature suddenly. The most dangerous people don't come at you in a rage. They arrive slowly, gently, like a knock on the door on a quiet evening, like a harmless joke shared between friends. But listen closely to what they say. Watch their eyes when they laugh, because sometimes death doesn't begin with blood. It begins with laughter. Calculated escalation is a dangerous strategy, one that's often underestimated. It doesn't involve loud, uncontrollable violence. Quite the opposite. It's subtle. It hides behind friendliness, behind jokes. A predator doesn't strike right away. He watches. He tests. He measures, and most of all, he desensitizes you to the psychological violence he's preparing to inflict. When someone says, "I could kill you right now," and laughs as if it's just a joke, what do? Laugh along to keep things light. Feel a chill for a second, then tell yourself, maybe I'm just overreacting. That's the usual reaction, because we are taught it's wrong to doubt someone's good intentions. We are taught to believe in goodness in God, in the light within every soul. But sometimes it's that very kindness that blinds us to evil. Not the kind that arrives with a roar, but the kind that whispers. Let me tell you a story. Anna and David were neighbors. At first, David seemed genuinely kind. He helped Anna carry heavy bags, checked in after work, and invited her to dinner like any polite friend would. Over time, David started joking. He said things like, "If someone broke into your house, I guess I'd have to kill him." Anna laughed another time. He said, "If I were a serial killer, you'd be the perfect victim." And then he laughed again. Anna started to feel uneasy, but she tried to stay polite until one evening she came home and found right in her mailbox a hunting knife, stabbed straight through a delivery slip. Her face went pale. Still, she wondered, could it be a coincidence? She installed cameras, changed her locks, and then the truth began to emerge. The footage showed David standing outside her door late at night, not knocking, not saying anything, just standing there. And when police searched his home, they found a notebook. In it, David had documented Anna's daily schedule, the times when the apartment building was empty, and one chilling phrase highlighted execution window, Thursday, 2 a.m. David was arrested. But not everyone is as lucky as Anna. Some never realize what's happening, or worse, they do, but they've been conditioned to believe that what they're seeing, what they're feeling, is just their imagination. What does Stoicism say about this? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When we analyze this teaching, we see a clear warning. If you habitually ignore uneasy thoughts, if you keep reassuring yourself that everything is fine while your gut tells you otherwise, your soul will slowly be poisoned by that very indifference. Stoicism is not about being numb. Stoicism is the discipline of training your reason to see the truth even when the truth is painful. What do we learn from Anna's story? That calculated escalation is a real tactic. Threatening jokes aren't always jokes. Seemingly small actions, invasions of personal space, lingering stares, asking too many questions about your schedule might be the early stages of a meticulous plan to destroy you. The attacker doesn't just want you dead physically. He wants you paralyzed mentally, so that by the time he strikes, you have no strength left to resist. And that's exactly why you need to learn awareness. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." If you notice someone repeating threatening behaviors, repeating words that send a chill down your spine, pause, watch, ask questions, and if necessary, act. Being cautious is not weakness, it's wisdom. A Stoic does not live in fear, but they are never careless. They believe in God, but they also understand that God gave humans reason and emotions to discern right from wrong. When something feels off, It's not oversensitivity. It could be intuition, a warning from God, a light shining into a darkness that's trying to stay hidden. And now that you understand escalation is never random, ask yourself, is someone playing with your boundaries? Is someone slowly stepping into your safe space with gentle eyes but the footsteps of a predator? If so, step back, face the truth, and remember, living by principle doesn't mean you have to be the prey. If you think all danger comes wrapped in rage, you're about to wake up, because the most dangerous person isn't the one who's out of control. It's the one who controls everything, including you. When someone knows how to wait, how to feed their hatred bit by bit like a snake swallowing eggs, how to befriend you while waiting for the right moment, that's no longer someone who dislikes you. That's a hunter with a strategy, and you, no matter how strong, could become the target if you don't realize he's been there all along. Are you ready? The final sign will make sure you never look at a gentle gaze the same way again. Keep going. Sign number 5, the patient predator. Not everyone who hates you will shout it to your face. Not everyone who wants you gone will show their intent. The most dangerous people sometimes don't look dangerous at all. They don't get angry. They don't slam tables. They don't send threats. They stay quiet, they care, they remember your birthday, buy the exact kind of tea you like, and always ask, how's work going these days? But behind those gestures isn't kindness. It's strategy. The patient predator is the kind of person the Stoics called a test of the mind, because you can't react impulsively to them. There's nothing specific to object to, no clear action to call out, but you feel something off. Their kindness is like an expensive coat worn in the middle of summer. Too much, too well-timed, too consistent. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. The noblest revenge is to not become like the one who wronged you." So what does that mean in this case? It means that instead of confronting them or spiraling into paranoia, you must stay calm, clear-headed, and focused on facts. You don't react the way they expect. You don't call them out on a whim. You simply don't let them access the deepest parts of you where they can strike when you're weakest. The patient predator is playing the long game. They're in no rush. They gather data. In every small conversation, they pay attention. What time you're usually home, what you confide about your family, what you complain about at work, what you fear, where you're weak, who you trust. They don't ask directly. They create moments where you'll say it yourself. When you open up, they nod with empathy and you believe you're connecting with someone who truly understands you. That's the mistake. You let your guard down. You don't realize everything you've shared is being stored not in a notebook, but in a memory as cold and calculated as a surveillance system. They're not in a hurry to use it. They're still building the illusion of a safe dream. One day you'll look back and piece everything together and suddenly it all makes sense. You told them too much thinking you were talking to a friend. But you'll realize even after all your openness, you never really knew who they were, how they lived, or what they believed. They showed up when you needed the most. When you were broken, lonely, exhausted. But when you got back on your feet, they vanished without a trace. As if their mission was complete. They helped you with something small, something simple, fixing a socket, watering your plant, picking up your kid just once. But the price you paid was the feeling that you owed them. They never asked for anything outright, just quietly gained the upper hand. While you weren't looking, they observed where you keep your spare key, when you forget to lock your door, what you tend to say when you're drunk. Every gesture was calculated, every move deliberate, because their goal was never to help you. It was to learn how to weaken you. You might think no one could be that calculating, but even Marcus Aurelius emphasized, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You only have control over your own mind, not what happens outside of it. Once you understand that, you'll discover your strength. You can't change the nature of a patient predator, but you can learn how not to become their prey. Stoicism doesn't teach fear. It teaches awareness. As Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Decide who you want to be and act accordingly. If you want to be free, learn to set boundaries. If you want peace, don't let someone step in too fast, too deep, too easily. One of the most subtle tactics of this kind of person is what we call normalizing the relationship. They don't make you feel special. They make you feel safe. They don't excite you. They make you think, there's nothing to worry about with this one. That's exactly when you should start worrying. They don't attack when you're strong. They wait. They wait for when you're exhausted, when your family life is strained, when your career is unstable, when your support system is falling apart. That's when the help arrives, the final push that gets you to open the door completely, and then they strike. Stoicism doesn't teach you to distrust everyone, but it does teach you not to be foolish in the face of charm. Don't mistake kindness for harmlessness. Someone truly good will never ask you to sacrifice your boundaries to be accepted. A true friend will never exploit your vulnerability to sneak into your private life like an intruder. So how do you protect yourself with slowness, with principles? By asking questions not about them but about yourself. Am I sharing too much too fast? Do they know a lot about me while I know almost nothing about them? Why do they show up so perfectly at just the right time and just the right way? No one can stay fully alert 24/7, but the Stoics believe that awareness doesn't mean hiding from people. It means not blindly believing that everyone deserves access to your inner world. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can be open and still stay in control. And above all, you must guard part of your private life like a sacred fire. No one has the right to touch it unless they've stood the test of time and truth. If you've ever felt that someone is always just right, always good enough, always too understanding, take a step back. Not to be paranoid, but to see clearly. The patient predator never runs. They don't have to because you'll be the one walking toward them. So you've just gone through 5 signs that could save you or someone close to you. These aren't just social tips or self-defense tricks. They're survival alerts in a world where envy, hatred, and malice often wear the mask of kindness. As we've seen, the most dangerous person isn't the one who openly hates you. It's the one quietly, hoping you disappear. Now I want to hear from you. Out of those 5 signs, how many have you experienced? Was there one that gave you chills because it instantly reminded you of someone? Share your story in the comments because your experience might be a wake-up call for someone else. And don't forget, like, share, and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next video. Save this video so the next time your gut tells you something's off, you'll already have a weapon in hand. And up next, watch the video on covert narcissists, because danger rarely travels alone. Stay sharp, stay safe, and never underestimate the smile of an enemy.